Let's go, Blue Jays. Let's go.
Dude, we didn't even plan this either.
No, we didn't.
We're just repping the Jays, man.
And you know what? We're going to try to predict the future. That they advanced to the ALDS this past weekend. And I hope that we're waking up to a Blue Jays.
To a big dub.
Big old W. And there's a bunch of other Canadian crap, international crap we got to talk about. And it all starts now.
Innovation is in our veins. Soon the whole world will know our names. Sharing our knowledge and freedom reign. We here for the people, you know it's our way. Setting foundations is part of the dream. It doesn't matter if you're new to the game. Listen up now, cause we all gon' say, elevate, 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 higher, elevate, 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 higher. We gon' rise up, we all gon' shine. Work through adversity, stay on the grind. Elevate, elevate, this is our time. Elevate, elevate.
Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, everyone. It's so great to have you all on one more time. It's your boy, Josh.
Dalton.
And we're grateful to be back on with you yet again. Oh, baby. Happy Thanksgiving. And to those who don't want to be happy about it, well, you just don't believe in being grateful. So get over it.
Where's the button?
Oh, what button?
The one you just played.
Oh.
That is so racist.
True. Yeah, true. That was a good moment to use it. But yeah, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend. You're stuffed up with pie and turkey and all that jazz.
Dog, I just bought my pumpkin pie today.
Oh.
I'm not going to be rushing to grocery stores on the weekend.
Yep.
Everyone's freaking out for Cool Whip and pie.
True. Oh, man. So, yeah, it's been about a bonkers time the past little bit. And,
yeah, man. Something's in retrograde or whatever you believe in. Something's going on. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, it's been nuts. And but I love the weekend. I specifically love this holiday because it's just a time just to chill, relax, eat some food.
Yeah. There is something that's just like
kick back, man.
It's validating. Just sit on the couch and drink and just like eat food.
Totally.
It's a great weekend for that. Yeah,
absolutely it is. And but like we did want to talk about one thing though before we get started this week. And I know we're like a week and a half late on it, but man, that Dalhousie HoCo.
Dog, I mean, we talked about it last year.
Yeah, it's going to happen every year at this point.
We have to talk about it again this year.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
this
one was different than last year.
It was, and it was a little more bonkers. There was fires set ablaze.
Yeah, there was. Did you see the cops this year? Dog?
Yeah, they're like beating kids in the streets.
The cops were wild, man.
Dude,
they had people by the scruff of their neck. Like
the cops took it personal this year, man.
Man, it was nuts.
I got the pepper spray going.
They said we suggested the campus finds on property at places to have this. Dog, HoCo's happened in the street for years.
Yeah,
like since before I was born.
Straight up, but they out here peeing on people's houses and stuff. It's interesting.
It's interesting. Yeah, I mean, people pee on people's houses every time they go downtown. That's the truth.
So you're just gonna defend it? Got it. Sounds good.
That part, yeah. I have.
Yeah.
It is what it is, dog. I'm not gonna pee my pants.
So you're gonna pee on someone's house?
Well, I'm not gonna pee my pants.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we can keep talking about this. Two guys who are fully graduated and moved on with life, or we can bring on someone who's been, was on the ground for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Will of Way of the Road is here with us, and we're happy to have him on. Hey, dude, how you doing? There he is.
Hello.
Hey, dude.
Yeah, there
that
we
was
go.
on us.
What's up, boys?
Hey,
hello.
Hey. How you hold up,
Good
my guy?
to see you.
Good. You too, man. You too. How's the Way of the Road treating you?
Dude, it's going great, man. I mean, you guys just saw we did that video at Dal's homecoming, a little undercover experience. Just pretty wild.
Absolutely. So run us through. Okay, you were there. We saw the video, but what happened from your perspective?
Well, I'm kind of curious to see, what did you guys see like in like the mainstream media about it? Like, is there anything specifically that you guys saw that stands out?
A few things I saw was that there was the one video going around where there was a cop holding a student by his shirt like that.
Yeah.
There was videos of them like marching down the street, kind of like that you kind of see in like YouTube videos, and a lot of pepper spray, a lot of tear gas going around.
Yeah. I saw some big bonfires personally. The one thing I saw specifically in the media was there was a lot of, as I was just talking about now, a lot of weight was put on kids peeing on houses and stuff and peeing on people's crap. So that's what I saw particularly. And that the cops obviously were called. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the video we made was originally meant to be just kind of a funny video of us going undercover at the homecoming. But kind of as the day unfolded, it got a little more serious, and we actually like started seeing these wild events taking place. As you can see, the video kind of started out as like funny, we're going undercover, and then it got like pretty serious by the end. Things kind of started out pretty tame throughout the day. Like midday, like between like 12 and 1, like that's when we went over on like Larch and Jennings. And there was like street parties happening. There was a DJ performing, which was super sick. And everyone was kind of keeping to the sidewalks, and it wasn't too wild. The cops were dinging people for like drinking tickets. But they were pretty chill about it. Like if people were drinking on the street, they were like, all right, either get it on the street or we're going to take it and they're going to give you a ticket. So they're being pretty lenient, and people were kind of had this mutual respect, and they were staying off the streets. But as the day kind of went on, it just kind of got to more mayhem. And I feel like the cops' response by the end of the night, they just kind of had a short fuse, I think, and they were just kind of getting fed up with it. So the responses became like pretty wild, and it just kind of created this super toxic dynamic where it was like the kids were doing their thing, the cops were doing their thing, but right when they tried to like clear the streets and the students started seeing the pepper spray coming out, it was like this whole situation just escalated to a new level because they tried to do that. So I feel like if they didn't do that, things would have stayed a little bit more tame. That's just my opinion on it from being there. But I feel like both sides are kind of guilty, but they were just kind of feeding off each other. I mean, obviously there were students doing some pretty wild things they shouldn't do, like lighting bonfires in the streets and all that. But all that kind of took place after. But I also wanted to say that there was also a lot of people there that didn't go to Dal, and I feel like the Dal students are being grouped into this whole thing, and I think there's probably people responsible for things that the students are now being pinned for, but they don't even go to Dal. I think that's happening.
Oh, yeah. Some of your favorite creators who are full adults were at HoCo.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 I was one of them. I was there. Sorry, I actually started the bonfire.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. Like, it was sweet, but it was insane, man. Like, I can say I've never been to a party like that in my life. It was wild.
So it was one of those. So what I've kind of gathered is that, like you said, like the cops started having short fuses by the end of the night. But do you think what also attributed to that was just as the night went on, more people got more and more intoxicated, which also led to more short fuses, sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely a factor. Yeah, 100%. I mean, levels of intoxication by the end of the night were probably at an all-time high. So that's definitely a factor in it. But I don't think there's any excuse for the cops, like, pepper spraying and beating kids. Like they were getting pretty upset. There was one moment where there was a female cop that we saw who was trying to deal with some of the crowds, and she just snapped, had like a full mental breakdown and started crying everywhere. And like other officers like came over and like brought her back over to like one of the cars, and she just like sat in the driver's seat and was just like bawling her eyes out. Like she was just so overwhelmed. So I don't know what happened there that like made her break down. I'm assuming it was just the whole situation's overwhelming, I'm sure, for them. But either way, like, yeah, I think the cops really did kind of escalate it to a new situation.
Right. It's almost like they didn't fully know what they're getting themselves into at one point. So
yeah, but they should. I mean, Dalhousie HoCo,
true, they are the cops.
like
yeah.
Like we know what happens.
Right.
That is the truth.
But I mean, I'm curious for you guys. What do you guys think like would be a solution to it? Like, how do you make it better?
Interesting. Okay, I think the one thing that I recall growing up in Halifax about HoCos was there was very minimal police presence. There was always police presence, but it was just minimal. We live in a generation, whether you like it or not, where people our age and younger who are in university now in their first year are, you know, there's a majority of them that are part of an ACAB movement. They don't like police. They think the idea of police is scary or intimidating. So as soon as they're there, they are now timid. But then when you start drinking, you get loose, you get wild, and then maybe that turns to anger, and then they let it out. And, you know, it's like, I'm not saying the Dal kids are 100% innocent. You know, there's things they shouldn't have been doing, but I don't think the police understand the negative effect just their presence has.
Right. That's why I think they're unaware of that key point that you just said there. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Exactly. I mean, whether or not, you know, that's the right way. Like if all cops are bad is your thing, doesn't necessarily make it fact. But if that's what they believe, then that's their prerogative to believe it. So the cops should play into that.
For sure. And I think there came a point where the students realized like they outnumbered the cops by so much that it almost didn't matter what the cops did.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they kind of started resorting to like these other methods of pepper spray and beating people. And, they try to give out tickets here and there for drinking to try and deter people from doing their thing. But people don't care. They get the ticket and they're like, oh, I just got a ticket. And then they go back to drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to stop it.
Yeah. Once you see your friend start to get pepper sprayed or tased or something, it's like, okay, party's over.
Yeah.
I think
definitely no fun.
The part of the night that I think I was mainly your video that cracked me up was when you had a girl full on twerking on a tree branch. And I was like,
that was insane.
What is going on here?
Yeah, they lifted the branch up with her on it.
Is that what? Oh my god.
Yeah, shout out to that girl. That was wild. Yeah, you wild for that.
Oh shoot! Well, you guys are brave to be down there, and the fact that you didn't get arrested, I think, is impressive.
Man, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do these deep dives. We were journalists for the night. I don't think anybody realized we were feds.
Yeah,
a little bit suspect, but
straight up,
it was fun.
And
it was great.
Did Lane stay out of trouble?
Oh yeah, he was completely sober the entire night.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good to see. Glad to hear it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on and tell us what went down from your perspective. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure, man. Good seeing you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks,
you as well, man.
See ya.
Have a good one.
We'll see you soon. Have a good one.
Absolutely. See ya.
Peace.
So that was a wild time, man.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, much different than last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, much different.
It definitely was that thing is like people were wicked upset after last year.
Yeah.
And this was another level on top of that.
So what kind of response have you seen on the internet? Because I've seen both sides where people are like, that was irresponsible on the police. And there's a side where it's like, that was irresponsible of the HoCo goers.
Yeah, well, one gathering is it's mainly property owners who are just like, yep, police better be beating those kids in the streets. I want them off my property.
Right.
I have one of those neighbors who's like that. And then there's the people who are just like students or people who live outside of the peninsula who are just like, screw the rich people. It's on you. Get over it. You live next to Dow.
I will say that is the hard part is it's hard to take a South Ender seriously.
Right.
It's like, it's funny to watch them get a little upset. Listen, it is what it is. But in the same breath, as people who own property, I mean, I wouldn't be too thrilled either, but I don't think beating people is the answer.
Dude, do it every time. It works. It works.
Just one.
Every totalitarian government in history, they used it well, and it worked for them. So, look at them. They're tyrants for years. It was great.
Okay, fair. Did the Dow president release a statement, or is this something I just made up in my dream about how... I know he made a statement, but did he make one condemning the police's response?
I have no idea. I didn't read this response.
I don't know where I heard that.
Gee.
But, I mean... The cops' reaction was a little intense.
Oh yeah, it was. It was a little intense. Yeah, the fact that you had a cop full on crying.
Okay, that's kind of funny too, dog. That's funny because it's like it's hard to break cops,
dude. Well, that's the thing that
they're like trained to be mentally resilient.
Absolutely. Well, at least they're supposed to be.
They're supposed to be.
And well, that's what I'm gathering. Like, if the tensions were rising, as Will was saying. And then if you got students who are just like ticked and then they turn around and they see they made a cop cry. It's over. It's done.
That's like the biggest W for the kid that did that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you made a cop cry. That's crazy. But like, I would never I don't want to hurt people ever, but to make like a cop cry is like, that's the best you can do to winning.
Yeah. You're intoxicated and you're like in a
all your boys.
A mob mentality takes in. Like, it's over, man.
Yeah.
Like, you better cry.
Yeah. Oh, her night. I feel for her.
Yeah.
Because she must have been tortured for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All those kids seeing her walk off crying.
Yeah. I couldn't get back to the cruiser fast enough at that point, right?
No way.
Yikes.
I'm surprised. So, I mean, if the HoCo's on the trajectory that it's on,
yeah,
like next year to me feels like it's going to be like flipping cars. Like we're like
it's kind of level.
It's already been there the last couple of years.
But they flip any cars though, Philip.
This year, I'm not sure.
I don't think they flipped any this year. But I just feel like with the fires and then like cops pepper spraying, it's like the only thing after that is like setting vehicles on fire and flipping them around the street.
Yeah, 100. That's
Like
definitely
that's
next
the
level.
that's the last step.
Yeah, someone's Tesla's getting lit, boys.
Like, what is going on? It's just you don't hear about Smooth HoCo like this. They must. Do
they have one?
Yeah, they do have one. It got canceled because of Fiona this year, but
Sure.
yeah, but I mean, I've never heard a peep about it, and they fully have one.
No, Smooth HoCo was supposed to be the same weekend, or Dalhousie HoCo was supposed to be the weekend of Fiona.
Oh yeah, Smooth is in October. Yeah,
And then I think actually Smooth was supposed to be the same weekend that Dal now was. So Dal basically just took over because it is a bit bigger HoCo and
yeah, because Smooth is supposed to be in October, so I think it got taken over.
And I do feel like we don't really hear about Smooth because it's just like Smooth takes up like one city block, whereas
Yeah,
Dal
Dal
takes
is a
up a
much bigger
majority of
school.
downtown Halifax, and so you're gonna have housing throughout.
Yeah,
Then you're naturally gonna be intertwined with the community, being part of the Dalhousie HoCo, right? So
yeah,
that's why you hear about it, people being in the streets and all that jazz.
yeah. There's a very like well-known frat house on Roby Street for Dal, and
Smew?
no, for Dal.
I was talking about the frat house at Smew.
And I drove by. It was like 5 p.m. on a Saturday, like last weekend. No, not last, the weekend before. Like right when school kind of started, and they were like obnoxiously drunk and just like screaming and hollering. The music was blaring. It was like fully daylight. I was like, "Who taught you how to party? Like, wait until you can't do that at 5 o'clock. Let's go, boys! Yeah, at 5 o'clock at night.
Yo.
They're just screaming, hollering with fully light out in the middle on Roby Street.
Oh my gosh.
God,
Get
you're
out.
gonna get arrested or shut down.
Yeah,
what's
for
going
real.
on?
There's not 500 of you at this point.
Yeah,
Oh shoot. Well, that was wild. That's an intro.
Yeah, I think party mentality has just changed a lot over the last couple of years, especially coming out of COVID.
oh,
These kids are wild, man.
I couldn't handle it.
A lot, like I've done my HoCo stuff. I got my HoCo done, before COVID.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but we weren't lighting, bonfires in the middle of
We
the
were just
street.
drinking in the street.
We were drinking in the street. Yeah.
Peeing
That
on
was-
houses.
Yeah,
Or like even the bigger HoCos, let's say in Ontario, like Guelph, they'll
Yeah.
have the street, barricaded off.
Yeah.
Like they know that this is going to be happening. They know that people are going to be on the street and they control
they somewhat
it.
embrace it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, here in
Halifax,
they do nothing.
they just
try
like repel it.
they could easily, if the police actually tried to, I guess, communicate more because they know it's going to happen, right? It happens every year, no matter
But
how much
advertise
it's
it on Instagram.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the schools putting out, announcements like anyone going is going to, can get penalized or whatever. Nothing ever happens.
Yeah, because everyone goes. Yeah, yeah.
But like there is a certain, just the communication between law enforcement and the party. Like if there is just that, if there is somewhat of a communication, it's just going to set up a safer place soup party for everyone. And it's just going to make a situation easier for everyone instead of having these,
Totally.
And the thing is, these people that live on the street, they know where they're living. It's been happening every year.
Yep.
Right. So, like if you're going to complain, or like if I was living on the street and I'm in my, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, old, I would set up like a lemonade stand outside, make something that's nice for the students, make sure that they're not, taking piss
now
on
they
my
wanna
property.
love you.
They
Yeah.
like me and be like, hey guys, here's some lemonade. Just be respectful on my property. If you guys, if the cops are coming, you guys can like come inside for a little bit, just like be chill.
Yeah.
And just respect the people that are partying, and they'll respect you back.
It's true, man.
That is a really great point.
That's actually some of the best advice I was given by someone who worked with youth. Was because like everyone, mainly older people, they get such a chip on their shoulder when it comes to younger people.
Yes.
And there's one guy I was talking to, like it was a camp I was counseling at, and there was a group of kids that were so disrespectful and so obnoxious.
Yeah.
And they weren't listening to anybody but this one counselor. And he's older. Like these kids, these kids were like 14 years old, and he's like 50.
Right.
And I was like, of all people, they're respecting him. And I was just like, I asked him, I was like, how do you do it, man? Like, how do you get them to listen to you and like actually like be chill?
Absorb it, yeah.
Exactly. And you're just like, you just have to treat them like your peer, man.
Yeah.
Like you
Not
treat them,
less than.
yeah, you treat them with some respect. They'll treat you with respect and be fine. And I've always taken that with me ever since. It's just like, it's true. Like, I grew up, respect was a big thing in the household I grew up in.
Yep.
And if there was disrespect, well, it wasn't going to be dealt with for much longer.
Yep.
But there was a hard line on it versus like having a more of an approach of like, hey, like there's, I am your parent, but like we also can have a two-way conversation here. This is just going to go one way.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. And so I think you make a great point there, Philip, where, if you just embraced the crowds, and they'll probably leave your property alone.
Yeah.
And if anyone does do anything to your property, well, they'll probably take out the person who was trying to be disrespectful to it. So
yeah, it's like paying off a mobster. It's like you want them on your side.
Yeah.
Just pay off the kids. Give them something. Like order a bunch of Uber Eats. Like let them use your bathroom. Like
Get like water bottles in front of the house.
Yep. A case of waters. Like, exactly.
Or just have like a sign on your doors like, if you need to go to the washroom, please knock. Don't pee on the house.
Yeah.
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 True.
People, they would respect that.
Yeah, they would.
Yeah.
So there you go, South Enders.
It's your own fault.
There's some ideas. Awesome. Well, here we got to get into the meat of what this episode's actually about and what this episode's actually going to be titled this week. 20 minutes of HoCo. Here we go.
It's like exactly 1 year later. Yeah. Our last time when we went on and on about HoCo.
Straight up. Awesome. But China making moves, baby.
Yeah. It's funny because we have like 3 articles here about pretty much the same thing ish, and it's just very interesting how it's all kind of coming out at once.
Yeah,
among 3 different three different countries.
Yeah, and so there's things we're going to get into, but we're going to talk about China setting up police across countries.
Yeah.
So if we went to that Yahoo article there, Philip. All right. So China has opened overseas police. China has opened overseas police stations in U.S. and Canada to monitor Chinese citizens. So they say. These operations eschew official bilateral police and judicial cooperation and violate the international rule of law and may violate the territorial integrity in third countries involved in setting up a parallel policing mechanism using illegal methods, reads a report by Safeguarders Defenders, a human rights watchdog released earlier this month. The report, titled 110 Overseas, Chinese Transactional Policing Gone Wild, details China's extensive efforts to combat fraud by its citizens living overseas, in part by opening several police stations on 5 continents that have assisted Chinese authorities in carrying out policing operations on foreign soil.
Yikes.
3 of them are in Toronto.
Yeah. Out of 5. They said they opened 5?
I think he said...
in 5 continents.
5, yeah.
So they have
5 countries, 5 continents, whatever it was.
They have them everywhere then.
Yeah, they're all over Europe. They have 1 in the States and 3 in Toronto.
Yeah,
on 5 continents.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a different look at colonization.
Well, because it's like, yeah, you left, but no, you didn't.
Yeah.
You kind of left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mobs, you thought you left the mob, but no, the mobs are coming for you still.
Yeah, it's like, we talked about this on the show, how China has like some of the state-of-the-art facial recognition cameras pretty much plastered over the entire country.
Yeah.
Obviously, they can't go and install those in Manhattan and in Toronto, but you can send people there to do the same thing.
And the fact that this was allowed by our governments, I think, is wild.
So, obviously, there was a message here about how this may violate international law on like collateral policing. I would assume that's a UN law, like something to do with the United Nations. What are they going to do? I feel like it's too late. Like they're here.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, how did they get in?
Yeah. Like,
let's figure out how to stop that from happening. Again, they're here. What can you do? But how do we prevent that?
Well, it's more so the fact that you're able to set up infrastructure here, and the government's like, yeah, that's fine. You can monitor our Chinese citizens. What?
Well, I mean, China owns, I would say, the majority of most real estate in big cities. Yeah. It's just the truth. I mean, it's even happening in Nova Scotia where they're buying up the things that mean most in each province. For example, here it's fisheries. In places like Toronto and New York, that's real estate. Yeah. That's what means most in a city like that. So they already have the infrastructure. They probably already had a way to find an office somewhere for these people to work out of. And of course they had the people. I mean, they're under their control. They've got their thumb on everyone. It's like, oh, do you want to have a nice life or a bad life when you come back to China? If you want a nice life, this is going to be your job in Toronto.
Right. Yeah, it's I think the way I've seen it is the fact it's like they essentially have in some ways superseded our government officials and our police here.
Well, it's like
that's crazy.
Are you the RCMP? Who are you?
Yeah, seriously. The fact that they're able to do this and allow it, and the reason why it's come out, and I'm not surprised that there's 3 in Toronto alone. I'm definitely not surprised by that. But I think it comes down to having very weak politicians.
Well, absolutely. And it is if this is not a blatant identifier of which politicians can be bought by China, it should be.
Mm-hmm.
What politicians are willing to be bought off?
Straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, and people, on a specific side of the political spectrum can call us, whatever they may call us, whether it be racist or
truth tellers.
Prejudice.
Because this is like the truth.
Yeah, this is happening.
This is happening.
And what I wanted to get at with that is I've had some friends who've come from China,
Right.
and they've told me what the government has done.
Right.
I had one friend who fled, had family who fled because they were killing all landlords. The government was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Her uncle was one of them.
Right.
And they had to leave. And China's not a good guy.
Yeah. Straight up.
And if you want to play identity politics with that, then good luck. You're going to lose because they don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, they care about what matters.
Yeah.
Money and power.
And influence.
Yep.
And that's what's happening right now. And so we're just calling out what it is. They have come, they have set up police stations in our countries to police our people.
They're saying it's to police Chinese citizens. Does that mean Chinese Canadian citizens?
100%.
So if you're a Canadian citizen who is emigrated from China, that's who they want to watch.
Yep.
What kind of life are you living in Canada? We need to know.
Yeah, they got their pulse on them.
Right. So you've not really left China. You just left the physical China.
Yeah.
Not the digital China.
And things are only getting crazier. Digital Yuan next.
All kind of ties in, eh?
Yeah.
It's like
It's all going to flow today.
Yeah.
So China has introduced over the past year, been trying out their digital yuan.
Yeah.
Which spooky.
Many central banks are exploring this
Yeah.
option.
Well, we'll start with China first because that's where all this is going to. We're going to start with China. We're going to end with China today. And so essentially, what is happening is they just kind of are trying out in different applications, WeChat, stuff like that, seeing how it can work within those infrastructures.
Yeah. WeChat's huge for them.
Yeah.
When I bought my first vehicle at the Mercedes dealership, you could pay in WeChat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But China is pushing for broader use of its digital currency now. And what are these? So China is ramping up efforts to roll out the digital yuan to the broader population as the country's technology giants like Alibaba and Tencent jump on board. But there are challenges ahead, and one particular question stands out. Will Chinese citizens who already use two dominant mobile payment systems run by these same tech firms begin paying with the digital yuan? Well, I don't think they're going to have a choice.
Yeah.
Like straight up. The People's Bank of China, the country's central bank, has been working on the digital form of its sovereign currency since 2014.
Oh, so they've been in it for a minute.
Yeah, it's been some time.
Interesting.
What was it, 2012, 2011, when Bitcoin was introduced? It's interesting. Also known as the ECNY, it's designed to replace the cash and coins already in circulation. It is not a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, in part because it's controlled and issued by the central bank. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency that isn't backed by any central banks or single administrator. China's digital yuan is a form of as a CBDC, which many other central banks around the world are also working on, though the Chinese central bank is way ahead of its global peers.
What I do, I guess, appreciate out of this article is that they are outright saying it is not a cryptocurrency. It is not decentralized. Where I found the marketing around Canada, United States, other countries' digital currencies is they are playing off the hype of cryptocurrency, the exact hype that politicians condemn.
Yeah.
That in the House of Commons in Canada say, Pierre Poilievre, you're the one who is telling people to invest in crooked, backward digital products to make investments that are losing people money. But then they play off that same hype to market their central decentralized currency. Yeah. It's very strange how they want their cake and want to eat it too. Mm-hmm. I appreciate the at least transparency here, what you're getting into.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Mm-hmm. It defeats the purpose, in my opinion. as a consumer.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we rely on cash for. Cash comes with a level of anonymity. Mm-hmm. It's the truth, and there's people that rely on that.
Yep.
And I guess to get even deeper, it's like there are people who we know do shady things. Shady people generally get paid in cash. Now, I'm obviously not for shady people doing shady things, but if the shady thing you're doing isn't hurting people generally, but it keeps you and your family housed and fed, I'm better off with that than you riding the system. You can't do that with a digital currency.
No.
So do you just want more people on the system who may have actually had an income, though illegal?
Right.
It's an interesting moral dilemma.
Yeah. That was intriguing where things are going with this digital yuan. We've heard kind of echoes about it over the past couple of years, but now it's here. They've kind of been trying it out, and now they continue to kind of push it out more into their country.
Yeah.
So if we go to the BFSI article there, it should be that one. Yeah. Digital currency, yuan comes with an expiry date. Spend it or it will vanish. That's the issue with these CBDCs. Yeah, that's where it's getting interesting, right? China's exploring expiration dates with its upcoming digital yuan or DCAP, which means the currency will expire if not used in a certain time frame.
So it's a coupon.
Yeah.
It's a coupon.
It's points.
Yeah, it's the law. What is it? PC points.
It's here though. It's real.
Money it can expire?
Yeah. And the fact that like this is what's going to happen, right? You are essentially going to make two-class citizens.
Yeah.
If you're upper class and you're lower class, there'll be no middle class. Because what will happen is, say the country's having an issue with inflation or any type of monetary issues.
Yeah.
They can turn around and tell their citizens, all right, you have to spend X amount of your savings or it'll be expired in 2 months and you can't use it at all.
Oof.
So good luck saving up for that house. Good luck saving for that trip, that vacation. No, expired. Government said so. Now you have to go buy some stupid crap.
To get money back into the economy.
Into the system. Keep her going.
To keep the 1% rich.
Yeah, man.
They'll just be rich digitally.
Yeah, baby.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So this is why I'm a huge advocate of just now, if you got the extra dollars, even if it's $5 a month, get into Bitcoin.
Convert it.
Get out of these dollars, dude, because it's coming. It's coming.
Very, very, very interesting.
Yeah. And things are crashing too, right? Things are not going well. So let's go to the this next one here.
Give it up.
Give it up. The Fed chairman, so now we're going to shift over from China over to the States, all right? So the Fed chairman confirms that a U.S. CBDC would not be anonymous. So they're talking about CBDCs in the States, as they have been in a while. Yep. But Jerome Powell said that a central bank digital currency in the U.S. would not be anonymous during an event hosted by the Bank of France on Tuesday. He described the key properties that would underpin a CBDC if implemented, one of which includes being identity verified. The chairman's comments were in response to an audience question about the anonymity of many cryptocurrencies and whether CBDCs would mimic this property. While the Fed is yet to make any decisions on whether to proceed with the CBDC, it has been actively discussing what one might look like and its potential risks and benefits.
Interesting. Again, it's funny where even China could lay it out straight, which is rare for, that where they said it's not centralized. It's not anonymous.
No, it is centralized.
Oh, sorry. It's centralized. It's not anonymous. It is 100% so we can track and see everything. Like they're pretty much putting it out on the table.
Yeah.
But America, when asked the question regarding, let's see here, where was it? Okay. Asked a question about the anonymity of many cryptocurrencies and whether CBDCs would mimic this property. So when asked the question about if it even referring to cryptocurrency, you would think, you would clarify this is not a cryptocurrency. It's just interesting to me how they skip over that and just say, well, it's not anonymous.
Yeah.
But they haven't denounced the fact that it's not, they haven't announced that it's not a cryptocurrency. No. It's very strange because I think they want people to buy into this hype. I think they're going to make the ability to convert cash into their CBDC wildly easy.
Oh, yeah.
Way easier than buying a Bitcoin. So that way it's like, oh, you've never invested. You don't even need a separate app. We've partnered with all the major banks. You just transfer it through your online banking, and it's converted over. And it'll feel like a digital currency, but it's really not. And I just don't know if they're ever going to outright say it.
Right. Oh, sorry. It's going to feel like a cryptocurrency, but it's really not.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's a digital currency. Yeah. That's centralized and programmable.
Same as the yuan. Same.
Yeah.
They can put their own code into it that says anything. It's up to them to what the instructions are.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And it just all comes back to what you and I have talked about, how create the problem, then create the solution.
Yeah.
No one's complaining about cash. No one I know is complaining about cash.
Yeah.
That's how I like to be paid. It's cold, hard dollars.
Cold.
You know, that's the truth.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one I know is asking for this.
No one. We don't want it, and yet it is here, and it's amazing what it all started at.
What started it?
COVID.
Oh, well, 100%.
I think that's I think that I look back to I still go back to those days and like when we were just kind of figuring out what the heck this thing was, and
if it was March 20th.
Yeah, if it was even going to hit here, all of that, right? And if you told me that all this stuff would transpire afterwards, I would never I didn't believe you, because I've heard people talking about it. And I was like, yeah, right.
Yeah, I couldn't have pictured the last 2 years.
Exactly.
In my wildest dreams.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just at the point where the government's like, all right, we figured out what we can push people on. We can figure out that they'll rat out their neighbors if it makes them feel safer.
Yes. Oh, yes.
They know all these things now. It's like, all right, so now we're going to look at CBDCs. We know how far we can push them. We're going to take a different approach now. It's not a mistake for when anyone who's been kind of a champion of Bitcoin has been absolutely lambasted by the government.
Yeah, about how it's a completely unrealistic, completely fugazi sort of system.
It's a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what they keep calling it.
Yeah, and it's super, super interesting. And the part that you mentioned about COVID, and writing out your neighbor, there will instantly, if this happens in Canada, be a cheeky little link on the CRA website to report those who have not converted or those that you suspect are still dealing in cash.
Yeah.
If we get that far, oh my gosh, it will be. I can see the page right now.
Yeah.
It's probably ready.
Yeah. You just got to wait for the right time.
Yeah, that's right.
It's all about timing.
It's all about timing. And what I've learned over the last 2 years is to try to anticipate the calculation behind the government, because nothing is a coincidence, a mistake, or just a fly-by-night. There's no fly-by-night ideas in the government.
Yeah.
They've thought through everything.
I give Trudeau credit, man. I mean, even though it's really not him, it's, people behind him who don't live in this country. Yeah. But he's managed to pull it off. He's played so aloof through it all.
If you do something, do it well.
Yeah.
At least he's a good con artist.
Yeah, he's
right.
He's really good at it.
He's good.
Yeah.
You got to give. It's the truth.
Mm-hmm. So, moving on. We've talked China. We've talked US. Let's bring it back home.
Yeah.
The Bank of Canada.
Same story.
Same story. Just to make sure that, hey, this can't happen in Canada. Well, it is. On the Bank of Canada website, Central Bank Digital Currency, we are building the capability to issue a digital version of the Canadian dollar, known as a central bank digital currency, that Canadians can trust and rely on, so we can be ready should the need arise. Currently, we do not have plans to issue a digital currency. Ultimately, Parliament and the Government of Canada will determine if or when to issue one. So it's in the works. They have it ready.
Yeah, dog. There's literally a timeline.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, let's look at the timeline.
There's literally a timeline.
Timeline. We don't see a need to issue a CBDC right now, and we don't know if we will need to in the future, but we need to prepare for the possibility because it will take several years to develop, and the process must address complex policy issues, including privacy, security, accessibility, and universal access. I'm sure you need that.
Mind if you click this link? Contingency planning for a central bank digital currency. Oh, it's huge. But we haven't thought about it. We haven't looked into it. They have look at all the things they have.
Yo, check that date though.
Yeah, February 2020. Before COVID.
We're here,
but
boys.
like days before,
Yeah, it's all a
like
month.
2 weeks before.
Yeah, before it landed here.
One
yeah.
quarantine length before.
Yeah.
1 14-day to stop the spread.
Shoot, that's weird, eh? That's crazy. What was that? Was there a date on the last article we were just looking at? No, it's just kind of ever evolving page.
Interesting.
Cool, but interesting. Here we go. And so it's Canada. Obviously, our government. Clearly, we knew this, but now they're at least saying it out loud. That's
I guess I said it 2 years ago. Another thing we missed through the noise.
Yep. Oh man,
Jeez.
it's a wild time to be alive, man.
Yeah.
But so to those who are thinking, trying to figure out what's going on, well, obviously the next, as we've said in multiple posts at this point, next 18 months are going to be really hard financially.
Yeah.
Or at least this point, next 12 months. And we're already seeing it right at the moment where people are having a hard time with their groceries, or a hard time with making ends meet, whether it be making their mortgages or their rent. People are really frustrated. And I don't know. We'll see what happens with the interest rates, because that's going to drive most things.
Yeah.
And all I know is I'm ready for an extra $400 to $500 of, interest payments on top of what I already pay.
So I don't know if these exist in Canada, but I know they exist in America, and they are effectively like you get on your mortgage, and you can negotiate with your broker or your lender to make interest-only payments.
Right.
There are people on the internet, and when I say internet, it's they themselves speaking about their situation on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, about how they have $1,400 a month interest-only payments because they bought in the height of COVID, because they everything was so low and whatever, and now they can't afford to keep up, so they've converted to interest-only payments, and that's $1,400 worth. And like, there's a clause in a mortgage where they can just up the amount you pay if the interest rate goes up, regardless of what your original, principal sort of thing was. And it's like, people are facing thousands of dollars in increases, and they're not even touching principal.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I mean,
you're just paying the bank.
I mean, it's happening to me right now.
You're just renting your house from the bank.
Straight up.
Just rent.
That's exactly what it is.
You're renting your house from the bank.
Like, even like
you have to do maintenance, lawn care, cap expenditures.
And they're just collecting insurance.
And it's nuts, dog.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, for me, like essentially one of mine's like $2,000 a month. So what I'm paying.
Yeah.
1,500 of it is interest.
Oh my God, dude.
It hurts.
I log into my bank statement and it's like $350 on principal for my like $3,300 payment. I'm like, oh, what? Are you kidding?
This can't be real, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for I count myself lucky because we have the resources to kind of ride out,
navigate that,
intense situations. But there's some people who are just like,
they didn't bargain for this.
No, they're barely making it. And
rightfully so. They likely thought their government were there to be there to protect them.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair assumption as a citizen of a country that claims to be there for their citizens. There will be something to help them navigate this. But it only is more and more pressure being put on Canadians. It's like I've had to really stop watching like the House of Commons. It's really hard to watch the Liberal Party be asked questions that I see affect people I know and love, and them just dance around it. Like, it doesn't affect real lives.
Yeah.
It's so disheartening. It is so disgusting. And people are dying over it. Like, it's ruining people's lives.
Yeah. 100% agree.
We've seen Halifax go to have almost no housing, mental health crisis, a housing crisis, the most shooting, stabbings, and, serious crimes I've ever seen in my whole time living here. All are a byproduct of, it all comes back to money. Mental health services can cost money. Housing costs money. Groceries cost money. When you have no money, you go crazy.
Yeah.
That's a harsh word, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And then you got a prime minister who continues to print money. He knows, he sees what's going on. He continues to keep printing money. He was here
on the weekend.
Yeah, he was.
He can see. He go to a superstore in a neighborhood where it's a little harder to live, and see how busy it is, and ask them, how are you doing? You know, and then go to the no frills in that area and see how much busier it likely is. Ask them how they're doing. Everyone's struggling, no matter where you live. It doesn't matter. It's affecting everyone. So he may say, well, there's different classes of people. There's middle class. I don't think there's any excuse for what's happening to every Canadian.
No.
Doesn't matter where you live. Doesn't matter what class you are. We're owed a house. We're owed food. I'm not saying you're owed a mansion, and I'm not saying you're owed, caviar. But gosh, we have to live.
All right.
And it's easy to be the prime minister and live.
Yep. That's true. And I think that's a great kind of segue and transition into kind of like our wild card segment for the night.
Yeah.
And of essentially things that are happening in the States and also here. And we're going to hit on both sides of the border in this one.
Yeah.
But this is the prime issue of what we're seeing right now, where politicians who are in power currently just keep playing this whole identity politics situation.
Yep.
And don't care about actual real people's needs.
Nope. They care about what sounds the most progressive, what sounds the most politically correct, and what sells with left media.
Yeah. And so there's a TikTok that you came across that you want to address, and we'll have a good old chat about it.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Will we watch like the first 30 seconds of it, 40 seconds, you think? Or do you want to watch the whole thing?
Let's watch the first 30.
Okay.
That should be good. If I think it's worth, I'll say.
Okay, cool.
Watching it longer.
Folks, you cannot make this up. Vice President Kamala Harris said publicly that relief funds for the victims of Hurricane Ian were going to preferentially go toward people of color and communities of color. Said it out loud, but that's not the best part. She's speaking to Priyanka Chopra, an actress at some Democratic Women's Forum, and Chopra chimed in after she said the money's going to go preferentially toward communities of color, people of color, and she said, well, and women. And Harris said, oh yes, and women too. So in a matter of 20 seconds, the Vice President of the United States of America said that federal funds for victims of a hurricane that affected everyone, all races, all genders, was going to go toward people of color and females.
Wow. The White House had to make a statement saying that that is not true and that she was speaking out of turn.
Who's running the country? No, seriously, this happens with Biden. This happens with her.
Yeah.
You can make the excuse for Biden because obviously his brain's not there. But Kamala Harris, you're fully functioning.
Yeah.
And even the White House is saying,
They had to say that's not true. It's going to all Floridians.
So let's get real for a second then. Who's in control? Who's behind all this? Who actually runs the government?
Because who
is it the military apparatus?
Yeah, who put the pressure on her to say that?
It's clearly the interviewer at the time because she wanted to sound woke.
Right. I could only assume it's woke.
But like
culture. It
just shows you how I find that mainly left politicians have grown to be so disconnected with real people that they came out and said that. How about, hey, Kamala, you go down to Florida right now and see the destruction, and then you go up to, I don't know, a man saying, actually, I know your house fell apart.
It's floating down the Atlantic.
We're going to give your money to that person because they're black.
Yeah.
And you can get upset at me with being so like just, what's the word I'm looking for? Just
to the point.
Blunt.
Yeah, it's to the point.
But that's what it is. That's what's happening.
What else are we supposed to say?
I just can tend to dance around things just to at least try to dress it up a little bit so it doesn't sound so rough. But that's just, I'm done with that. This is craziness now.
Yeah. And especially when you compare that response of like woke liberalism, we're here to protect this group of people and whatever you want to call it. And then is his name DeSantis? Mm-hmm. Did you see his response?
Oh, yes.
He meant business.
He did.
Because people are ransacking homes, stealing, and he was like, don't forget, we're a Second Amendment state, and you should be fearful of what's behind that door. And I thought that's the way you handle it. Yep. You stick up for your citizens right now. Mm-hmm. Enough's going wrong. We don't need you don't need to dance around anything. Right. Get to the point.
Yeah. there was a one video that came out, and it was like two dudes who happen to be black, and they're just talking about how they're just going off about DeSantis.
Yeah,
and there's like, he's got my vote, and I'm a Democrat.
People are starting to like him.
Oh,
well, at least what I'm seeing.
No, I think I was trying to figure out why people like him so much.
Yeah,
and so I started watching some of his press conferences, and I was like, I couldn't figure it out, but then it started clicking with me. I was like, he's not like he comes across genuine.
Yeah.
And he's just no nonsense. He just gets to the point of like what real people actually care about.
Yeah.
And he gets to it. He doesn't like dance around things or try to like seem cool.
Put on a show type of politician.
Yeah, you can tell politicians will say the right things, but you can tell it's just them trying to say the right thing. With him, he actually means it, and it comes from the heart for him.
You can feel conviction. Exactly.
And this is what I think. I guess this is slightly changed topics, but I think he would be. I'd actually prefer him over a Trump candidacy.
Well, people are talking about that.
Yeah.
People are talking about a Trump-DeSantis government.
Yeah. I don't know if that would actually work.
Me either, but people are talking about it.
Yeah, they are talking about it. And I'd be curious. Like, I think from what what I've been hearing is like if Trump runs, DeSantis is going to back out altogether. Because there's one thing Trump is really good at, and it's sinking political careers. And so it would be smart of DeSantis kind of do that.
Because he would follow everything.
Exactly. But the thing about Trump is he's not the solution. He just isn't. He is so like, it's one thing to lean into, culture war politics. It's a whole other to run at it with a battering ram.
Yeah, he's too much.
Yeah.
He is a lot.
And you can tell everything with him is a performance.
Versus, he's really no better.
No, exactly.
He's just on the other side.
You saw him down in Puerto Rico, right? When they got hit with a hurricane, and he was like, I love the Puerto Ricans.
Rolls of paper towel.
Yeah, shooting like he's Kobe out here. And
that was crazy.
That was crazy and was funny. But then you just kind of just look at that response versus the DeSantis here. And you can tell DeSantis actually cares for the heart of the citizens.
Yeah.
Whereas Trump, he's just, everything is just, you can.
To be right in the media. Again, it was just to look good.
It's insecurity, I find. I find with him, it's insecurity where he so badly wants to be accepted by left-wing media.
I think he lived in a gold apartment.
Yeah, fair enough.
He's got an ego issue.
Yeah. I mean, most rich people do.
Right.
So that's it with him, right? And so I just don't think America can handle another round of Trump.
No. But they can't handle another round of Biden.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I think DeSantis, I think could actually be an actual unifier for that country.
Could be interesting.
It could be interesting. But anyways, I digress. That's what's going on.
Interesting over in America.
And there's a reason why left-wing politics is now losing because of crap like that.
And it's being noticed. And people are not turning a blind eye to little statements like that because that is an inequality, it's an injustice, and it's not fair.
No, exactly. And it's discrimination.
Yeah, well, it's racist.
It's very straight up racist.
It's racist and sexist. It's the sorry.
Oh my gosh. So bringing it back to the border up here of what we mean by left-wing politics, this is what your liberals that you voted in are now doing in the House of Commons.
This one hurt.
A lot.
Yeah, this one hurt to watch.
I didn't.
And I could feel the hurt in him.
Yeah.
Speaking.
And you sent this to me last night.
Yeah.
And I was like, I thought this was supposed to be the side that cared about this type of thing.
Me too. When I played the video out loud, Hannah said, "Who is that?" And I said, "A conservative MP." And she went, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah. He's the one being heckled."
It's crazy.
Let's play it. It's a long video.
It is an honor to stand here on behalf of the people of Kamloops, Thompson, Caribou.
We're very lucky.
It's interesting that my colleague from Winnipeg is heckling me as I'm saying this because I'm speaking about a bill that should be of interest to everybody in this House.
Here, here.
And that is, well, now the member for Kingston the Islands is getting in on the act.
And let the honourable member introduce his bill. Thank you.
This is what we're talking about. Sexual offenses against children and adults.
And they're heckling.
When somebody commits a robbery in this country, it is the taking of property by force, and they are liable to life imprisonment. when you take someone's consent by force, their dignity by force, when it comes to sexual assault, the maximum sentence is 10 years in jail.
Unbelievable.
We therefore treat the taking of someone's sexual inviolability and innocence and dignity and consent by force less seriously than we treat the taking of property by force. And if people want to treat this as a joke, that's fine. But for me and for everybody in this house, my exhortation is that we start getting hard on sexual offenses, especially against sexual offenses respecting children. And this bill does just that. It raises the maximum sentence to life imprisonment for most sexual offenses, to recognize that victims are often put in a psychological prison for life themselves. I exhort all members of this House to pass this bill expeditiously, given the seriousness that this subject matter deserves. Thank you.
He held his composure and fantastically.
Yeah.
That was disgusting. That was awful. Funny how he's from Kamloops and was instantly heckled.
Mm-hmm.
Typical Liberal Party.
Yeah.
They don't really like that area, hey?
Yeah.
So
But
that
hey,
was interesting.
We can play their game too. They're probably racist because he was a person of color.
Yep.
That's,
from an area where they don't really like.
Yeah. Imagine that. All the racists end up in the same party.
If you take race, his jurisdiction, his gender, all of it away, if it was a computer reading that bill, that deserved every ounce of attention in that room.
Absolutely.
And the first thing they did was laugh. The Liberal Party. They laughed at a bill that would protect sexual assault victims by ensuring that their abuser was in jail for life. Because right now, robbing a store gets you longer time in prison than taking someone's sexual innocence. Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I think this goes back to kind of what we talked about last week, where I don't identify with anybody in the Liberal Party anymore.
No, there's nothing I can relate to because I can't relate to someone that laughs at something like that.
No.
Not a chance.
I do find it interesting how the Conservative Party has become the party of the working class.
Yep.
It's interesting how that's flipped.
Yep. And it's a party that might get things done that people are needing.
Yeah. Which is really interesting because I see it on Twitter all the time where you don't want to vote Conservative because they just care about big business. And
yeah,
I'm like,
guns and money.
Yeah. And I'm like, you realize the guy you keep voting in is doing that like tenfold.
Yeah. But to China.
Yeah. Into every other country. Like, yeah, we can still, we made the comparison where I think it was, he sent $4 billion over to Ukraine.
I think it's a little under $3 billion.
Yeah. Something like that. And
right now, while we're dying of inflation.
Yeah. But he's like, you know what? We'll match anything the Red Cross puts out for Hurricane Fiona. Like, all right.
Yeah. So you're going to match the donations for Fiona. You're going to give $3 billion to another country.
For war.
For war, dog. You got to mow your own lawn first.
Mm-hmm.
That is nuts. You put your own safety mask on first in an airplane.
Yeah.
Why are we helping other countries? We're not this is not a charity.
Yeah. They're not a part of NATO.
They're not a part of NATO. We have no obligation to. You have an obligation to your citizens first.
Yeah.
That is the point of a government. You have an obligation to protect them, which a bill like this would. You have the obligation to ensure their livability, their sense of being a human, and to protect that. And none of those are being upheld.
Yeah.
None.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get to it a little later, but yeah, like the fact that Elon Musk is getting roasted by the media and President Zelensky for literally advocating for peace.
Yeah.
That shows you everything you need to know about what the machine is telling you right now.
Yeah.
They want war, they want death, and they want you to be poor.
Yeah.
Straight up.
It's not about world peace.
No.
Which I'm fine with. I never thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it just now to reassure you, if you ever thought it was, it's not.
No.
There is no one world.
I don't fully understand how the West keeps trying to flare up tensions. They keep trying to poke and prod Putin.
Yeah.
And they keep making it worse. And like, other than money, like I can see like why do they keep pushing us into war?
Yeah.
Like, I hate to say it, your prime minister keeps pushing for this.
And if Ukraine successfully joins NATO, which they're trying to do.
Yeah,
trying.
Yeah.
Put emphasis on trying. If that were to happen, Canada and the United States have an obligation to help protect them.
Yep. That's what
Canadians and Americans could die over a war that's being poked, prodded, and fueled by America.
Yeah.
For no one's gain but Russia or Ukraine's.
Straight up.
What do we get?
Yeah.
Dead soldiers who have families and kids who have their own life battles right now. They don't need to go fight real ones in Ukraine.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
So there's big things happening in the world that are essentially going to lead to depopulation. We're going to have a food shortage, and we're being told, our farmers are being told to stop farming. We have
forced.
Yeah. Yep. We have war. That's only going to result in people dying.
Yep.
Now I'm going to get into spicy things.
Oh, boy.
Things that get a lot of play.
Okay.
But I'm just putting it out there just as a thought.
Okay, let's do it. Send it.
Abortion.
Oh.
Results in less life. Sterilizing children. Results in no one being able to reproduce.
Right.
A lot of things are happening or being pushed lately that just results in less people.
Right.
That's what's happening. I'm not trying to push like a conspiracy theory about it.
Yeah.
I just think it's an interesting.
Yeah, we're not getting into semantics of what's right or wrong. It's just things that are happening.
Yeah,
they're happening. Doesn't mean they're good or bad. They're just happening.
Yeah, it's like we'll see what happens. Like what's the plan? I don't know if there's a plan. I don't know if it's just a one big old not conspiracy. The other word,
like secret plan.
No, it's just a coincidence.
Oh,
it could be all one big coincidence. That's all happening.
Totally. It is frightening though when you have experts on the matter explain how we actually have a declining world population that is rapidly needs to be increased to avoid almost effectively extinction.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing I thought was interesting too is obviously climate being pushed.
Yeah,
and
you just got that bill today.
Yeah, we'll look at that soon.
Yeah,
but climate being pushed, and to at least for people who are kind of our age, the thing I consistently hear is I don't want to have kids because they're just not going to survive.
That's what people are saying. Oh, that's the reason? That's a gloomy outlook on life.
Yeah, but that's the truth they're being told.
Right, that's what they've been.
Climate change is here. You're not going to survive.
So why bring someone else into it?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's even what I'm thinking. Like, I'm nowhere in my future plans is there a kid.
Dog, I mean, at the moment, same, but I just want to travel without a freaking crying kid in the airport. Like, that's the truth. Really. You can leave a cat for a week. This is the truth.
Yeah, but these are just kind of like, these are the things that are kind of, I find that are like pushed like on the forefront in media.
100%.
So I just find it interesting how they all kind of have one thing in common.
Well, we're always talking, like, I mean, there's, I guess, fear-mongering or whatever you want to call it. Like, ozone is, like, I'm not going to pretend like I understand that.
There's holes in the ozone.
Right, yeah. Whatever. It's hot. We're boiling. We're burning.
Yeah.
And it's like, they keep saying, it's about to be irreversible. The Earth will, like, it's like, doomsday, doomsday, doomsday. The Earth is too hot. And it's like, whoa. Let's unpack that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make this digestible rather than just scare me.
Yeah.
Because when I'm scared by a headline, who reads something that scares them?
Yeah.
If the headline's scary, what person who suffers from anxiety is going to read the entire article?
True. They'll read the headline.
They'll read the headline, and then they'll become anxious, and that's what they wanted.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, there's, even when it comes to calculating carbon footprint.
Interesting.
I have found it interesting how when it comes to calculating carbon footprint, they'll do the whole, when it comes to eating beef,
yeah,
they account for the whole life cycle of the cow.
Yeah. From
birth
to, yeah.
That makes sense. I get how that calculates.
Yeah.
But they won't do that for an electric car.
Absolutely right, because it sells easier.
Yeah. I'm like, wait a second. Let's talk about all the minerals and stuff they get mined
into those batteries.
for those batteries.
Lithium batteries, anyone?
Yeah, lithium batteries are like wildly destructive.
I think that's like I actually have to look. If I was to actually do the carbon footprint, I'd be curious.
We should try and do that.
We should do that one. You know, we're gonna do that for next week.
It's funny as well. You mentioned this. There was an article by PETA that said women should stop dating men who eat meat. Did you see that?
I saw it, and then I think they did. There was another article that was around the same time where it showed that vegans are more depressed.
Yeah. Yeah. They put out the same statement. But yeah, vegans are more depressed.
Nice.
But they shouldn't. So it's like...
I don't think it was PETA. I think it was like a Forbes article that...
Oh, yeah. Oh, but like someone put that out in like the same time.
Right.
So it's like...
One, don't date men who eat beef, and then vegans are depressed.
So don't eat meat. Don't date people who eat meat, and then be depressed because you're not eating meat and you're single. Got it.
Cool.
I was like, what kind of marketing is that? Don't date men who eat meat.
I think we just stick with just don't date men.
Yeah, kill all men.
I'm done with the man.
Yeah.
I'm so over it. Oh shoot! But these are some interesting things that are coming up, and let's look at one last House of Commons highlight, which I thought was interesting.
Okay,
Michelle
you
Rempel.
want to talk about the last link? The last one is kind of funny.
Oh, we're getting there.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
okay,
going
good.
off.
Good.
Fast forward to like the 1 minute. Actually, let's go to 1:25. And this, I guess, to give context, this is her kind of going off in the House of Commons about just dealing with real issues that are happening to Canadians, and that's her getting a little angry,
a little human.
Yeah, I'd say.
The barrel of a looming recession, and it's this government's problem. They have failed to repatriate manufacturing. They have failed to inspire investment in our country, and they are making it harder for women in my community to put loaves of bread in their cart. And I've had enough, and people in this place have had enough, Mr. Speaker, and people across this country have had enough. So I challenge every Liberal backbencher here today, tomorrow morning is their caucus meeting, to stand up and say what that one person said off the record to a reporter. Enough with the woke. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, I take that back. I apologize for my unparliamentary language.
God, I love her. Listen, she's only human.
Yeah.
She apologized.
Yeah. But
she
hey,
didn't mean it. Just slipped out. She was just emotional.
Yeah. But I just love that she got to the bare bones of it. Enough with the woke stuff. And let's get down to the real issues Let's get real. When people are starving in the streets, I'm sorry, but people aren't worried about each other's pronouns when you're starving.
Yeah.
But this is where we are. Real world stuff is happening in our country now.
We are playing identity politics every single day.
Are you a lesbian black female? All right, you get more funds.
It's interesting.
It's craziness.
Interesting.
Wow.
Not for me.
It's not.
It's just not for me.
Not interesting for me.
Yeah.
But it's just like, and don't get me wrong. I think making sure everyone feels like included and respected and have dignity. I am so for that.
It's Canadian right.
Absolutely for it. It's just the idea of
let's make an agenda of importance today.
Yeah. Like, let's get into some like real world stuff.
Let's table things that are affecting the majority of people. Is that not what government is about?
Yeah, it's supposed to be.
The amount, you look at what's affecting the most people and you work on that first. If your issue is not number one, you're selfish and no one cares. Other issues come first.
True. But I think the one thing as you said, beginning of the show, is affecting everybody, is food prices.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
Absolutely. I think it doesn't matter what race you are, what gender you are. You need food.
Yeah. It's almost becoming equally as expensive / cheap to just eat out.
Isn't that nuts?
That's nuts. It's never been more cost effective to just eat out.
Yeah.
But when you look at the time spent in the grocery store, the time spent getting there, the time spent cooking, the time spent cleaning up, the money on the food, it's almost the same to just go buy a cooked meal at a restaurant and bring it home.
Yeah.
It's nuts. That's not supposed to be that way.
No, it's not.
Restaurants are always supposed to cost more. That's the point of a restaurant.
Exactly.
And I mean, soon they will catch up. Mm-hmm. And soon no one will be able to afford to even go do anything fun.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be way too expensive.
Yep. and we'll just be on permanent 2-week sabbaticals.
Yeah, butter noodles and craft parm, baby.
Hey, yo, let's go. And ain't no one traveling nowhere.
That's right.
Last story of the night before we call it one. As we were talking about how, our current Liberal government is very pro big business.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Canadian officials, the CBC article says, Canadian officials have met with Taliban more than a dozen times since Kabul fell, documents say.
That's very interesting.
Oh, man. Canadian government officials have met with representatives of the Taliban on at least 13 occasions in Qatar since it swept to power in Afghanistan in August 2021, documents obtained by CBC News reveal. The documents obtained through access to information loss show David Sproul, Canada's senior official for Afghanistan, has been, along with various Global Affairs Canada officials and representatives of allied countries, pressing the Taliban for commitments on extending the right to an education to women, fighting terrorism, and granting safe passage to Afghans who want to leave the country. In other words, they are trying to
bargain with terrorists.
Boom.
They're bargaining with terrorists.
But hey, the convoy was a little too over the line. All right, we're not talking to them.
Yeah, we're not talking to the terrorists that drove around in their vehicles. Well, did do some destructive stuff. The Taliban's done a lot worse, in my opinion. It's a little old me.
It might be a hot take, but yeah.
Apparently it is. Apparently it's like kind of a big deal. Like talking with Taliban is dicey. It's like some people say it's not a terroristic organization.
Oh, really?
So they say.
Show me different.
So they say. I listen. I think it's terrorists, but and I think bargaining with them is the last thing you do. It's like who what school did you go to where you bargain with the bad guy? Yeah. You overpower them. That's how you beat the bad guy. Yeah. You don't get to their level. They're not stupid. They're like, oh, sick. This is great. They're at least they're talking to us now. Yeah. We got them. We got their phone number. We can. It's why would you get that close to an organization that only promotes bad?
Would you? We know you don't believe in this, but would you possibly think about educating women? Like you
just asked a group of people who have made it eminently clear they don't believe in that to do that. What?
Oh my god!
What a waste of resources.
This government's too much, man.
I wonder how much it costs to get them to Afghanistan for every time.
Oh yeah. Oh, Qatar.
Oh right. I'm so sorry.
They met on some
sovereign territory.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it.
None of us have our politicians don't have to go now to go there.
The Taliban left Afghanistan for a moment,
yeah.
Had a meeting with the Canadian government, and then just went back to ruling Afghanistan as a terroristic organization. And we just had coffee with them.
Yeah.
Just had lunch. Do you think we just brought Tim Hortons? Like, what do you think? How do you think that went?
Dude, I think they did bring a box of Timbits as a memoriam.
And just shared some Timbits with the Taliban.
Yeah, but
that's a podcast. Timbits with the Taliban.
True. Timbits with the Taliban.
Dog, that's crazy.
Yo, we should do that.
That's crazy. We're going to be the next ones to go to Qatar.
Yeah. we want to meet with the leaders of the Taliban and talk about what they talked about with the officials of the Canadian government.
I want their opinion on currency, on cryptocurrency.
Yeah, specifically if they are thinking about doing a CBDC for Afghanistan.
If they think that CBDCs affect their business operations.
Yeah.
I could see how.
And I want to know if they are dispersing their resources equitably.
That's right.
Yeah, I want to see if they're doing that too.
Yeah, we need a diversity score on their employees.
Yeah, and then afterwards, I want to know what their carbon footprint was.
Okay, that's enough. A week. It's nuts. It's like out of movie.
Yeah, it's so
because I just don't think of world leaders meeting up with Taliban. Like, I didn't think that would be a thing.
You're not supposed to negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, I didn't think that was the thing. I thought, the government's supposed to, they want to meet, we're going to go and kill them. I thought that's how you deal with terrorists. I thought that's what I thought.
Right.
You just bring the army with you and arrest them or whatever, and it's that many more Taliban off the street. Yeah. That's how I thought it would have went.
Straight up.
To me, it's like, we tricked them into a meeting. We're actually going to go arrest them, not actually go have a conversation.
Yeah. This is the perspective they're trying to have, right? It's like, they run the country now. Like
they're a government.
Yeah, exactly. We have to deal with them on the world stage. Like we should treat them like they're a government. No,
they took over. They overthrew the real government.
Straight up. Literally, the U.S. was in Afghanistan forever, acting as the government, and then they pulled out in the most obnoxious way they could have, and
they let Afghans sink. Afghanistan sink.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, yeah, the Taliban's in power again
Yeah.
because we just dropped everything on a random Thursday.
Deuces.
Bye. What?
And now
And
you
there's
got
JT picking up the pieces.
Yeah. Oh man, he didn't make any excuses for COVID there for those meetings, I'm sure. But
Where was he? Oh, I can't remember where he was. Just dancing around maskless.
oh yeah,
Oh, where was I? Should have kept it. No one will believe me. But
of course not.
yeah,
Wow.
typical.
That was a spicy episode.
That was good. That was good stuff, man.
Yeah, we're here for it.
Well, it's pressing issues.
Yeah.
It's real world stuff happening. It's like sometimes not everything's supposed to be easy to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Things that matter generally aren't easy to talk about.
That's true, and they don't want you talking about them.
That's why it's generally hard to talk about it. And the people who do get labeled as something, so they stop talking about it.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
and I'm at this point where I know my own intentions. I have a lot of love for people.
Me too. And we have a platform where we can explain our intentions.
Exactly, and
They're never
I just
bad.
I just have questions to ask
and just share the untold stories.
Yeah, so
You can't fault us. Well, you can try.
yeah, you can do your best. Well, that was a great show.
That was good.
And whatever it is you're doing, whether you be Let's Go Blue Jays
Or Timmins with Taliban.
Or getting heckled on the House of Commons.
whatever it is you're doing,
Wherever you are.
we love you.
We're out.
Peace. Just kidding. One last thing.
That is so racist.
See you.